We are live with the Combatcast, and we're going to talk about UFC 293 this week, the main card anyway. And why don't we tell people what else is coming up, Chevy?
All right, September 16th, UFC Fight Night, Grasso versus Shevchenko 2 for the flyweight belt rematch. And then September 23rd, UFC Fight Night, Fiziev versus Gamrot. It's a great matchup. And then September 30th, there's no fights. So we're going to be working on some stuff for you coming up.
Yeah, possibly a couple things in the works. We'll see how creative we get. But in the meantime, there was a fight card this past weekend. Rose Namajunas lost and broke her hand very bad.
Broke her pinky. Yeah, it was really gross looking.
Oh, okay. It was just a pinky. Yeah, I saw the hand look deformed. Okay, it was more the pinky. Well,
I think that's just a fighter's hand kind of situation. Yeah, it was her pinky.
So what were your impressions of that fight?
Well, it was always going to be a tough fight for Rose. Like I was saying, Ferro is a beast for sure, undefeated in the UFC. She definitely looked a bit bigger. Rose had come out, defending herself because I guess Ferro had said in an interview afterwards that Rose was just too small. But she looked small, but not too small for the division. I think that she can be okay up there. But Rose rolled with a lot of shots, but she did get landed on, and she couldn't do too much going forward. I think that injury hampered her, and also, she hasn't been in there in a while, so didn't have Trevor Whitman with her. They talked a little bit about she was training in a different camp for this. I'm thinking Ferro probably waits for a title shot. I would assume Aaron Blanchfield gets the next shot at the belt, but Ferro probably after that.
Dana talked about that. They asked Dana about that after the scrum for the Contender Series, and he said, we'll see. He said it's a great problem to have, that they're both, really good contenders at this point. And he also said that as far as Rose Namajunas, he was asked about her. He said he was having dinner with her in the next week or so, and they were going to discuss all that stuff. So we'll see what happens. I personally think, it's a rough outing. She had a different camp. I wouldn't give up on her weight class just yet. That's a tough opponent. Let's see how she does her next fight.
Right. I agree with you 100%. I'd like to see her against Macy Barber or Lauren Murphy next. If they want to give her another tough challenge, Caitlin Chikagan, even, although that's a guaranteed decision, so I don't really want to see that one. But Macy Barber or Lauren Murphy, I think, is a good matchup for her next.
Yeah. So, definitely open to that. And main event, from what I understand, I didn't see this, but Gane basically did put on a clinic here.
Yeah, Spivak basically didn't show up. I'm not sure what his problem. He got hurt to the body early, but he really just couldn't get anything going, couldn't close the distance, was nowhere near getting a takedown. But, Gane looked great too, so props to him. It wasn't just Spivak looking bad. Gane looked great on his feet. It's so crazy to see a guy who's 250 plus move around like that. But I would assume he gets, Tom Aspinall was there calling for a shot with him, or Curtis Blades would be a good matchup for Gane next. I think Sergey Pavlovich is going to get the next title shot.
I like the Curtis Blades matchup a lot, just because it gives a chance for Gane to really work on that wrestling defense, which is the one thing that's really separating him from that elite, is that he has that struggle with wrestlers. So
he said he worked on that a lot for this Spivak fight too. So
right, and so maybe that's the case. But I'd say let's take another challenger. You're not a guy after what John Jones did to you and what Francis did to you. The people are going to clamor to see at that top. But you clearly have a lot of skills that put you above a lot of other people. I think take that Blades matchup. Let's see what you got. And if you can avoid getting taken down by Blades and you light up Blades, okay, now I'm interested against, the Tom Aspinalls and some of the other division.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. Very tough matchup, but, if you're going to be champ, you got to fight all comers. So
absolutely. Otherwise, find go to Bellator or somewhere else. Right. Assuming there is a Bellator the next year, so who knows what's happening with that too.
Yeah. We we not really sure what's going to be going on with that. We didn't talk about this at all beforehand, but did you see the Saudi investment into PFL?
Yes.
A lot of money. So, who
Yeah.
knows what they're going to spend that money on, but it does look like Francis maybe it improved Francis's stock a little bit more. I think so. He's a bit. PFL could be a real contender soon.
They could be. The issue is, I mean, Dana's not far wrong with this, and he did say he does honestly wish them the best. He says they're trying to compete. He said there's a lot of money being invested in this right now, and without any returns, you can only do that for so long. So they need, hopefully, to cash in whatever is going on with Francis and Tyson Fury. Hopefully, that's a huge payday for them. Hopefully, in perfect world, Francis somehow wins that, which is very unlikely. But if he does, then you have potential him in Brazil with Redoom. That could all be big, big business. But, man, they are gambling on the Francis Ngannou train right now. And I hope it pays off for them because it would be nice to have another contender. But if Francis doesn't work out, and God bless Francis for this, Francis still gets paid and will be fine. And that's what he wanted. PFL? Who knows?
Yeah, but they have all this extra investment. Maybe they can lure some of these fighters over. You see it happening in a lot of other sports like soccer.
Yeah.
This Saudi league is just paying all these players ridiculous amounts of money, and they're coming over from the top leagues in Europe. So it's not unheard of that this would happen in MMA. They are prize fighters ultimately. So
Sure.
if you can pay them the most,
Oh God, yeah.
you might be able to lure some of the big names, and then all it takes is a few big names and you can build up Bellator or PFL or whoever they're going to be.
I know I'm throwing some stuff out here that we didn't even talk about, but Dana White also had a quote when they were talking about as good as he was about it, and he did say they were misinformed on some things because the CEO of PFL had said, we're like the UFC, we do some things good like they do, we do some things better, we pay better than they do. And he had another comment: what you do in the ring here dictates, how your career goes. And Dana said that last part he agreed with, but basically that, as far as them paying better, that's absolutely not the case. Now, I don't know the answer to that because you do have some people that are making $1 million. Like, I don't know the overall UFC payroll versus the overall PFL payroll. So many more people are competing in the UFC, and obviously the upper echelons of the UFC do very, very well. So I can't comment on that. But he did listen up, but when asked about Bellator, he said, who on God's green fucking earth will buy Bellator? And then somebody responded with, it's going for $500 million. And Dana's response was, ooh, better scoop that up now. I couldn't help but laugh because I want Bellator to do good. They've had some good fights. But it's really weird because at the same time, I get what Dana's saying. Like, as a person who has a business and looks at stuff, like, I would have, other than a passion project, like, I don't know what. It's hard to get a foot in the door with the UFC. They're so, like they bought everybody and they've been this main brand for like a couple decades now.
Well, yeah, that's why they have a monopoly suit against them.
Right. Well, that's where things could get interesting, right? So.
Yeah, so we'll see. We're not sure what's going to happen, but I'm sure things are going to be moving around here in the upcoming future. So,
yeah.
Before we get into UFC 293, we didn't talk about this either, but Jorge Masvidal's having his Game Bred fighting promotion this weekend. Verdum versus JDS in a bare knuckle MMA match.
Fuck yeah. I'm going to try to stream of that anyway.
All the steroids. These guys are on all the steroids. We don't got to go all the way through, but who do you see getting the win?
I'll go JDS, actually. And here's the thing. I can see JDS being stopped because his chin is what I'm a little concerned about over the years, the bad knockouts. But if he's roided up, like boxing-wise, he laid out Redoom early in her career, and it's because he has a big power difference, and he's a better overall boxer. And we're not talking about kicks. We're talking about it. So I kind of favor
MMA, so they'll be kicking each other.
Oh, they'll be kicking each other too? Oh.
Bare knuckle MMA, yeah.
Oh.
There'll be grappling involved.
Oh, shit. All right. Well, given JDS's weak ass chin, I hate saying it like that. That guy would kill me. I love JDS. But given that, and it's not just, I was going to say Redoom had a hell of a puncher's chance anyway. But now that we're going with all that, given the way JDS looked in his last few fights, he's aged a little worse than Redoom. I'll probably go with Redoom. I like JDS in just a straight up boxing match, just because I thought that's where he really had the edge over Redoom. But yeah, I can't pick JDS then.
Yeah, I'm with you. In a boxing match, I'd pick JDS. I think Verdun rolls him up, subs him, or snaps a limb or some shit.
Yeah. JDS still has a hell of a puncher's chance in this, though. Bare knuckle, roid it up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is going to be a good show for sure. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our main talking point here. UFC 293, Adesanya versus Strickland from Australia. Before we jump into the main card, I just want to shout out Jack Jenkins versus Shep Mariscal. I can't remember how his name is pronounced, but Jack Jenkins is a fun fighter to watch. He's from New Zealand, I believe. So local-ish, Australia, New Zealand guy. He's on the prelim, so keep an eye out for him. All right, let's get into this main card. I am actually excited about this matchmaking here. Tyson Pedro versus Anton Turkalj.
Anton's 8-2, 5 KOs, 2 subs, 1 decision. Tyson Pedro 9-4, 4 KOs, 5 subs. Tyson Pedro does not like to go to distance. And we're in his backyard. Tyson Pedro has looked improved since coming back. I just have this feeling we're setting him up for a victory here. And that initial fight where Tyson Pedro came back, he looked really good. Mm-hmm. I think this is to set him up for a victory. I'm going to say he gets a TKO round 2.
Yeah, I believe that fight he made his comeback in was also in Australia, if I remember correctly. So I think that has a big, that's a big factor in his ability to show out for sure. So also Anton struggled since coming off his Contender Series win with 2 losses. He was a killer before that in Brave, which is a reputable organization, but it's not the UFC. So Tyson's going to trade with him. So it's a better chance for Anton than he's had in his last few, but I just think Tyson's too slick. So I'm with you. I think he gets it done by TKO, but I'm going to say round 1. I think they just come out and go right to war.
I always have a hard time saying round 1, but yes, that was the round I was thinking too. I'll go in round 2, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty hyped up being the beginning of the card. So I think they just get right at it. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is a rematch that ended previously in like a 30-second in the first round eye poke. So Justin Tafa versus Austen Lane.
Yeah. Wait, Justin Tafa versus who?
Austen Lane.
Austen Lane. Okay. Oh, there it is. I have it. I'm sorry. Austen Lane, 12-3-1, 11 KOs, 1 subs. Like, that man is not going the distance. Justin Tafa, 6-3-1, 6 KOs. He doesn't like to go to distance either. It's in Tafa's backyard. I'm going to stick with the hometown favorites here, but this could go either way. I'm going to go with a round 1 knockout this time because I think whoever wins this is going to be a round 1 knockout. I think this is going to be guns a-blazing and somebody's going to fall. I'll go with the hometown boy, Justin Tafa.
Yeah, I'm glad they're running this one back. There's definitely a little bit of heat between the guys from that first fight. Tafa was not happy after he got poked in the eye. So I like Austen. I know he's super powerful. He's definitely going to have the reach, but Tafa is just ultra tough. I think he catches Austen in the second round. I think they are a little bit cautious knowing each other are both super powerful. So I'm going to say KO in the second round for Tafa.
Okay.
Let's move on to I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but Manel Kape versus Felipe Dos Santos.
Manel is 18-6, 11 KOs, 5 subs, 2 decisions. He's going to have an experience edge here. Felipe Dos Santos is 7-0, 2 KOs, 3 subs, 2 decisions. This is a big test for somebody who's 7-0. I don't know much about Felipe Dos Santos
This is his UFC debut.
His UFC debut. So, but 7-0 is interesting. Obviously, I would think again we're trying to set up the hometown boys for the win, but I'm not going to pick the hometown boy here. I'm going to go with the young 7-0 guy. Might regret that. He's got a lot less big time fights, but let's assume he's undefeated for a reason, and let's say he's going to pull off let's say a decision.
Yeah, this is a tough debut for Dos Santos, I think so. I obviously haven't seen him fight. I was just looking at his record to research him. I'm going to assume that Kape eats him up on the feet, though. So yeah. I'll go with Kape by decision.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this now. Kape has had rising experience, He's on a 3-fight win streak. Yeah, I'll change my mind. Kape by decision. I like the undefeated aspect. I always want to root for the young guys coming in undefeated, but this is pretty tough ass. We'll find out what Dos Santos is made of right away. I guess we'll say that.
UFC jitters are a real thing also. This is also assuming that Kape makes weight, because I know he's missed weight before too. So, all right, let's move on to the fights we are actually excited about. Always excited when this guy fights. Tai Tuavasa, and he is coming up against Alexander Volkov.
All right, so this is an interesting fight. Tai Tuavasa, 14-5, 13 KOs, 1 decision. Volkov, 36-10, 24 KOs, 3 subs, 9 decisions. Tai Tuavasa is the bigger star, I would say, of the two. The shoey, people love it. We're going to be fighting in Australia. Volkov is actually the all-around better fighter, probably. I could see him piecing him up. If you look at the fight Volkov had with the Black Beast, that was a fight he was winning until he got caught, with 10 seconds left. I could see a similar thing happening here. Tai Tuavasa knocked out the Black Beast, but that's because they just decided to trade and beat the hell out of each other. I would forget MMA math here, and I would say Volkov is probably the favorite. And if I was gambling, I'd probably put money on him to find a way to win a decision. However, I think the hometown boy will get it done. There's something where Volkov just seems to lose these big fights too. I don't know why. He just seems to get caught when he really, when it's really all on the line and hey, this win will really propel you to the next one. That's where he seems to lose, unfortunately. So I'm going to go Tai Tuavasa. I think it's going to be almost a similar thing with the Black Beast, though. I think it's going to be round 3. He's going to finally catch him.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. Volkov should pick him apart at range, but I think the crowd is going to boost Tai. I think he gets inside at some point. I think he's going to be a little bit better about getting inside than Black Beast was. So I think he gets inside, and that's going to spell the end for Volkov. I'm going to go with Tai with a second round KO and a shoey, or 3.
There you go. Main event.
Let's move on to the main event. Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland.
Sean Strickland, 27-5, 11 KOs, 4 subs, 12 decisions. Israel Adesanya, 24-2, 16 KOs, 8 decisions. Israel Adesanya, at this point, is one of the best middleweights of all time. He's right in there, that Anderson Silva category. I would say they're the top 2 middleweights of all time at this point when you're looking at what Adesanya's doing. Strickland shouldn't be here. This is not. Now, that being said, he's a fighter, and he'll fight anybody. That's part of his problem. He's admitted he's trained a lot of wrestling, but he'll just get in there and start brawling a lot of times. And that would be a mistake right here. The best chance Strickland has is Adesanya underestimates him completely and gets caught. I don't see that happening. Izzy's too focused on stuff like this. I see Israel Adesanya taking him out. Round 1 or 2. I'm going to go round 1. I think this is just a showcase for Adesanya, and we're all going home talking about Adesanya's next fight.
Yeah, Israel toys with him for the first round or 2, then KOs him easily. Israel's one of the few guys that's okay fighting while moving backwards too, and Sean is going to put that pressure on. Pressure is the only thing that Sean can really do unless he actually decides to grapple, which, like you said, has been his game plan before, but never been implemented. Who knows how it ends if he actually goes in there and grapples, because Bisping has talked about how great of a grappler he is, but we haven't seen it, so we don't know. But based on his previous fighting, I'm going to assume he goes in there and he walks forward and maybe touches Izzy a couple times so that Izzy can let him get close, and then he gets popped a few times. When he gets hurt, Israel finishes him, and then he's going to do some nasty dance over him. He's going to really humiliate him and embarrass him, I think.
Yeah, that's about as I think as blunt as we normally get with our predictions, but I just don't see any way. Hey, if we eat crow next week, we eat crow. I will say this too. I don't. That's not. I just don't want to see Sean Strickland as champion either. I think there's many more compelling fights with Adesanya still, not just at middleweight, but there's that potential if he was middleweight champion going up to fight Pereira. If Pereira somehow finds a way to win that light heavyweight title, like that's just such a intriguing matchup I'd love to see in MMA at that weight class. So I just, from a fan who wants to see these different fights, that's what I'd like to see this weekend. I want to see Izzy keep moving.
Yeah, I don't dislike Sean. I think he's funny to a certain point. You know, he definitely crosses the line occasionally. But I don't think the UFC wants to see him as champion either. He's a liability for sure. I think he really only got this fight because Izzy and Dricus were supposed to fight, right? But Dricus is hurt. So, Izzy wanted to be on this card in Australia, and Sean was next in line, I guess. So, I think the UFC is hoping that Izzy can beat him up and put him away so they don't have to worry about him becoming champ soon.
And as far as Dricus goes, too, Dana White was asked about this. Is he still the number one contender coming out of this? And he said, well, you know how I love people turning down fights. He said, so we'll see. I don't want to comment. But Izzy has also said at this point, I call the shots, and I'll probably give it to the winner of Costa Chimaev. I don't think you'll give it to Costa just because of how bad Costa got beat last time. If Chimaev wins, I have a feeling he might skip, especially if Chimaev wins impressively, he might skip over Dricus.
He shouldn't, but yeah.
But yeah, he probably will. And I mean, that'll be a money fight. And then you have Dricus who could take on either one of those guys because he's still undefeated and he hasn't fought either one of those. So I could see them doing that. It's an interesting matchup. So
yeah, Khamzat should not get a title shot. This is his first real fight at middleweight against a ranked fighter. He's so inactive currently. I'm not sure what the problem is, whether it's they can't find him fights, which I understand because he is a very scary dude. So if it's hard to find him fights or whatever, but regardless, he's not finding fights. I don't want him to be champion and then fight once every, year and a half or something.
Sure.
So, I think Dricus has earned this shot. And he's got heat with Izzy, so I think they do that one because Khamzat is a tough fight for Izzy if he wins. Paulo Costa is no joke, so he's got to get through him first. But if Khamzat's going to be champ eventually, you want to get all you can out of Izzy first.
Absolutely. And I think Paulo Costa is actually a tough matchup for Chimaev.
Absolutely, so strong and powerful. He won't be able to just be bullied by Khamzat like he does to most people. So
yeah, so it's an interesting fight. Yeah. But that's going to do it for this week for UFC 293. Chevy, tell people we got coming up one more time.
All right, September 16th, UFC Fight Night, Grasso versus Shevchenko for the flyweight women's belt. And then September 23rd, we're getting a nice UFC Fight Night, Fiziev versus Gamrot. The end of the month on the 30th, there's no fights that weekend, so we're going to be working on something else for you guys.
All right, guys. Stay here, find out what we got coming up, and enjoy UFC 293. We'll talk about it next week.